Halloween
Forever.
Steve, my boy, how are you?
I'm good, Brian. I've been eating the Taco Bell 90s menu, or the decades menu, for the week.
Hell, that's your week?
Yep.
That's what your week's consisting of?
Yep.
Diarrhea?
Just
Hell
trying
yeah.
a new thing from every piece of the menu.
Oh, God bless. But I'll tell you what, Steve, I'm a little preoccupied. You know, obviously, speaking of creeps and being creeped out, we're talking about the movie, the creep tapes or the series here today. I've been a little creeped out myself lately, reading the obituaries.
Oh, no. What's going on there?
I've always been one of those people who like to read the obituaries, but lately I've been extra creeped out. Have you noticed people are dying in alphabetical order?
Oh, no.
Welcome, boys and ghouls, to a very creepy Minisode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve.
Alphabet jokes.
Yep.
It's where we're at. It's where we're at in the life of the podcast, guys. Spiraling down towards the holidays. Have you been engaging in any holiday horror yet, Steve? You know your boy has. Have you been getting after that lately?
No, I've been on a break from horror for a little bit. It just kind of in my personal
little post-Halloween break.
Yeah. Just because I'm trying to get caught up on other stuff, and just been looking for some lighter fare as
Sure.
the world has been ending around us for the past couple weeks. So
yeah,
I just I've been doing.
Have you been diagnosing murders?
No, I went back and I watched a comedy show that I enjoyed called Better Off Ted. It was on Amazon Prime, and then I tried watching Megalopolis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With your girl.
Yeah, with Aubrey Plaza in it. I didn't watch the whole thing. I'm about halfway through because I just started falling asleep on it because I started it at 1 a.m. for whatever reason. I was like, yeah, whatever. If it's a really good movie, it'll hold my attention. If it's a bad, messy bitch, I'll probably fall asleep on it. And it's a bad, messy bitch. And I understand why so many people hate it, because within the first 10 minutes of watching it, I was like, this is like Repo the Genetic Opera without the songs.
Okay.
So that's a hard entry point. I like Repo.
Yeah. Sure.
I like kind of stagecraft stuff like that. But a lot of people are going to fucking hate that. And I understand why they did. But I don't hate Megalopolis yet. And I'll make it part of a bigger write-up on the Patreon, I'm sure.
Gotcha.
But it's just this movie is for no one. It's for 5 people. And Francis Ford Coppola is one of them, and I'm another one, and that's it.
It's just you two.
Yeah.
You two should start a Discord where you just do live streams, and it's just to yourself.
Yeah.
I have not delved yet. I'm sure at some point I will. I have been on that post. I didn't really do the post Halloween break from horror. I just went exclusively super bizarre Asian horror. As we've been talking about, I've been doing a lot of J horror. I've been really deep down the rabbit hole of the not Killer Forest, Death Forest.
Yeah.
Of the Death Forest franchise.
Sure, yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I watched 4 of the 5 Death Forest movies. Some of they're kind of hard to find, and when you do find them, the subtitles are horrible. But they're funny, and they're probably more interesting than the actual dialogue.
Yeah.
But for some reason, especially the first movie, when I finally found it, it was really, really bad. Silly bad subtitles, English subtitles. But you know what? I'm having fun with it. It's all about the giant head imagery with the big teeth. I'm hypnotized by it. I'm not sure why. But the last couple nights, I have started to delve into the not only the holiday horror, and I watched a couple of ones that I've seen before, nothing new yet, but I also watched a little movie on Netflix, or tried to watch it, could not finish it, intend to, I'll get through it. But Kate and I started watching a movie on Netflix called Hot Frosty. Now, are you familiar with Hot Frosty at all?
I don't know. I don't think that's something I pay for. I'm a feet guy. I'm not a Hot Frosty guy.
So listen, hold on. Wait, hear me out.
Okay.
It is it's a Netflix wannabe Hallmark Christmas movie, right?
Yeah, sure.
They actually brought over, if you're familiar with the classic of our youth, Mean Girls, starring one Lindsay Lohan. The woman who plays Gretchen Wiener, who's like the one like insecure friend of like the popular girls, she's in a bunch of those Hallmark Christmas movies, right? Well, they brought her over from to Netflix, and she did this movie. It's called Hot Frosty. It is the most unabashed stupidity I've ever seen, and I love it and respect it for that. It's horrible. It's unwatchable nonsense, but it is literally just a woman in a, the same woman that it just serves as the proxy in all of the Hallmark movies, right?
Sure.
She owns a cute business, and then she's too busy, and she has a husband or fiance who either died tragically somehow, in this instance has died of cancer.
Oh, God.
And hold on, let me explain. See, she finds there's just a snow carving out in the cute little center city square of a sexy man. She puts a magic scarf on him and he turns to life, and then she fucks him basically, but he falls in love, right? But ultimately resulting in fucking a living snowman.
Yeah. I'm watching the trailer. I went on the IMDb page. I'm watching the trailer now.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
Okay.
If you've seen Schitt's Creek, okay, which if you haven't, you should. It's a hilarious show. The veterinarian who falls in love with the what's her name? The sister. I'm terrible with names. He's like the little cutesy, kind of mousy looking guy,
Right,
he's a veterinarian. She works in the office. They fall in love. It's him. He is Hot Frosty. He gets super, super ripped for this movie. And he is of an age and bone structure that when he gets super ripped, he looks kind of weird. He starts to take on a, dare I say, vampiric type of appearance.
Yeah.
That combined with his long hair, it's creepy. So he's supposed to be this cute, innocent, fuckable snowman, but he comes across as somebody who is gaslighting her and is going to ultimately murder her. So if you watch it through that lens, it's kind of creepy.
He's like
unnecessarily,
being,
yeah, but he's like unnecessarily ripped. Like he's 0.5% body fat, like just chiseled, and it seems weird. It's out of place.
Literally in this trailer, they've shown his ripped body like 3 times just in the trailer. And
yeah,
you can tell he's obviously very proud of it, and he did a lot of work for it. And also, you're right, because he has like a really long torso, which makes him come off
very long. It
makes him come off as a Skarsgård, and the Skarsgårds are like that, and that's why they're very vampiric as well. That's why you have who's Alexander? He was the one that was on True Blood. So yeah. Yeah.
He's got that kind of vibe. He's got it. He looks like an effeminate Castlevania character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just looks like that stereotypical Japanese vampire slayer, sub character type of thing. He's an Alucard type, right?
Right. Yeah.
which doesn't translate well to Hallmark Christmas.
No.
If he had like nipple length white, super straight hair and talked like this. Like it would seem more natural.
It would make sense. Yeah. If he had just like a pauldron on his shoulder.
Yeah. And he fought with a lance. But no, there's one instance in the movie, Steve, you would have cracked up at this. We were watching it. Kate and I both burst out laughing. She finds him in the middle of town. He's got the scarf on. Of course, he comes back to life. He's naked. So it's this like embarrassing, sexy naked guy in town. She like, then he runs and like finds clothes. Anyway, it's a long story short. He ends up like finding clothes at a thrift shop or whatever. She takes him home, and it's very similar to in the movie Elf, where James Caan takes home Buddy the Elf and just kind of like leaves him at the apartment to his own, to his own free will, just to roam the apartment and get into mischief.
Yeah.
And he learns things from TV and stuff like that. Well, of course, he goes downstairs and starts going through her like photo albums and stuff like that to learn about her, because they're gonna fuck eventually. And she comes home from work, and he's like has made dinner, and he's got this whole he's learned things on the television, even though he came to life that morning. And out of the blue, you're like, I can't believe you learned to make all this delicious pizza, and you've made me eggnog and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, I forget what her name is in it. Let's say her name's Cheryl. I don't know. He goes, Cheryl, what's cancer? And I almost pissed myself. I did not finish the movie. I'm gonna watch it, but that's where my head's been at. I've been watching goofy holiday shit, and a lot of Japanese giant floating head movies. So
great. Yeah, that's good.
That's where my head's going at. Going towards the week before Thanksgiving. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's good for your brain, like at night when it's trying to process things. Honestly, I'm kind of fucking pissed. Like you said, it was hot, frosty, and I know they've done this kind of shit in the past where they do like, I think, didn't they do like a KFC kind of romance film like this with Mario Lopez?
KFC?
Yeah. They did a KFC themed like,
maybe.
Yeah. So like, I know they have done like dumb shit like this. So I'm
brand tie-in kind of stuff. Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of pissed that they didn't do like, this isn't about Wendy's. That's all. I'm just pissed this isn't about Wendy's. I like Wendy's.
Yeah, I can see why you'd be pissed about that.
Yeah.
They are doing the big premiere this year. They're doing a movie. It's called I believe it has at least one of the Kelseys or maybe the Kelseys mothers in it. And it's like a very Chiefs Christmas or something. And it's like a Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce,
Rankin Bass, soup holiday special.
I'm very confused. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to watch it. These movies are just like the equivalent of like Christmas white noise for the screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, you just put them on in the background. There's you're not going to miss anything by not paying attention. It's like having a Christmas tree in the background. It's just Christmas visuals. Mm-hmm. Most of the time the audio's off, but
yeah. So it was from 2020. It's called A Recipe for Seduction. And it's
oh hell yeah!
It stars Mario Lopez as Colonel Harlan Sanders. So yeah, it was on Lifetime. I remember This was kind of a this was kind of a publicity stunt type of thing that KFC went and did when they were making all those different comedians. Right.
Norm Macdonald was and Colin Quinn or whoever the hell those guys were the colonel.
And like Reba was the colonel for a time, and yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, Steven, are you sipping on a beer over there? What's going on?
I got beer. I'm doing light drinking today.
Yeah.
Just a little bit light drinking, cleaning out the fridge to get some new holidays in there, get some holiday stuff in there. But you'll like this one. Mm-hmm. Just a simple Von Trapp Helles. That's all.
Oh, what a coinky dink. I'm also drinking Von Trapp.
Yeah.
But I'm drinking a new one by them called Trosten.
Ooh.
Which is their smoked dark lager, which I haven't even drank yet. I'm going to take my first sip.
Yeah, I had that. I think I've had that one already because I have a friend on Instagram who is always pointing out when new smoked beers come out. They always give me a heads up. But yeah, I think I think I had that one, or I had a different one, because they've been putting out a couple smoked beers this year, haven't they?
Yeah, love it. Love a Von Trapp. Good God, their beer's nice. As long as you can get it fresh here in Pittsburgh, because the problem is a new brand comes into town. This happens with all these great breweries. New brand comes into town. Everyone brings a bunch of them. A lot of the Home D's and stuff around Pittsburgh, they take it in. They don't refrigerate the beer. They already have too much fucking beer. And then it sits there and it goes out of code.
Yep.
Because I saw the Pilsner at a Home D that shall not be named today. Went in. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get some Von Trapp Pilsner. Sitting there on the warm shelf.
Yeah.
And I looked at it. I was like, this went out of code in July. Ooh. Like, that's a shame. That's going to sit. That's just going to sit there forever. But this is fresh. And I'll tell you what, poured it into the glass. I got the big old glass, so I had a little two can situation. Started to pour it out. I thought this was going to be a smoked dunkel. Now I am rereading, and it does say just smoked dark lager. This is a Schwarzbier for sure, stylistically speaking. Yeah. This is just Schwarzbier, so it's a little darker, lighter in body than a dunkel, a little bit more like ashen. And a little bit more hop bitterness, a little more hop aroma than I expected in a smoked beer too. The smoke is very pronounced, but it's pleasant.
Yeah.
Beechwood, savoriness for sure. It's dry, well attenuated, but it has that beechwood character is giving it a little bit of like a rounder kind of character to it. So it's not quite as like snappy and ashy and sometimes tannic or acrid that some Schwarzbiers can be. Oh, that is fucking good.
I think I have to go find that one, because I don't think that's the one I had. I think I had
with it.
Yeah, I had one earlier this year, so I think I have to go find that one now.
Yep. All right, guys. A couple different things we'll do before we get into this son of a bitch and meat of the episode. First of all, if you're not doing it already, where you been? Go over on the Instagrams, on the blue skies, I think, even on the threads, on the Facebooks. We're not really doing the Twitter so much these days, the X, because it's a fucking cesspool. But go over there and search Halloween is Forever. You're going to see a little pixelated pumpkin guy. Follow us over there for some spooky yuki shit on the internet. Opportunity to vote. When we have our polls, all that type of fun stuff. And then, of course, this time of year, you can make some suggestions. And Steve, to tell the boys and girls at home where them suggestions are going to come into play, and maybe what they might want to do via the old Patreon.
Yes. So if you jump on the Patreon and go to patreon.com/HalloweenIsForever, you can sign up. And once you sign up, you have the ability to suggest movies for our December Secret Satan Showdown.
Secret Satan.
Now, we've already got some suggestions in there, and we already had a request for Brian to do a certain movie, and we'll talk about that in a second.
I have not heard this. It's going to be news to me as well.
Yeah, but we still also have a wheel to pick movies for myself and our guest, and then we're going to spin the wheel next week and find out, what we wind up with. So you have a week left to get those suggestions in, and sign up on the Patreon. And once you're on the Patreon, you can also be in the Discord. We got people in the Discord. We're talking burritos. We're talking hockey. We're watching Brian freak out on his computer. We're having all kinds of fun.
Spraying it with WD-40 to get it to fire up.
Yeah. We watched him turn the crank on his laptop. But you get the Discord. You get reviews and recos. You get a monthly exclusive podcast. And right now we're in the middle of Youth Group is Forever, and boy, are we watching some dirty ass Christian horror.
Some dog shit Christian horror. I try to stick to this theme because I will respond. And before you say, Brian, why would you do a thing like that to your buddy? Here's why. Motherfucker did it to me first. All right. He made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies. And guess what? I just signed on to Tubi to watch to continue watching Jack Frost 2, Killer Mutant Santa Claus, or Killer Mutant Snowman. And guess what it advised that I watch after this?
What?
Fast and Furious Part 7.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to watch Fast and Furious Part 7 anymore. I don't want to have any Fast and Furious in my life, but all my streaming services think I do because Steve made me watch all those dog shit movies, and we did episodes on every single one of them. I hated it, but the episodes are really fun. So you get access to all of those, and then also My Revenge, Steven's Comeuppance, wherein I make him watch all of these movies about why one would go to hell.
Yeah.
So right-wing Christian propaganda horror movies. They're ungodly terrible, some more than others, but they're also funny to make fun of and wish ill upon the filmmakers. That's typically what we do. But you can only access that extra Patreon exclusive series if you sign up and give us $5 a month on the Patreon, but you get all that other fun stuff. So why the fuck wouldn't you? All right. Show some Christmas spirit, for Christ's sake. Okay. Anything else we need to do at the top of the show before we get into this motherfucker?
Well, I can reveal to you the movie that has been requested of you to represent for Secret Satan. And
I'm terrified. I'm a little terrified.
This is coming from Dan. And
I'm already even more terrified.
Dan would like you as a gift. He's given you the gift of the mean one.
The mean one. Yeah, this is the... so I don't know this. I know the movie. I've not seen the movie. Okay. But this is the Grinch, loosely based on the Grinch, right? Type horror movie.
Right.
And does this star Art the Clown as well?
Yeah, it stars David Howard Thornton as the Grinch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've seen it.
You know what?
I've seen it.
Okay.
And I think it unfairly got lumped in with like that Winnie the Pooh stuff that was happening.
Yeah, the blood and honey bullshit. Yeah.
It was getting lumped in with all those garbage British productions. And this one's an American-made production. And it has kind of that 2008 charm of films made on video back then. It kind of has that charm of like an asylum production. And you know, for all the bad that is in that movie, like it's it is fucking boring in parts. For all the bad that's in that movie, like it still has David Howard Thornton doing Grinch stuff. So
that's what I'm saying. He's the fucking Jim Carrey of horror movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like he's going to be entertaining, I'm sure.
Yeah. So like, there are some entertaining scenes. I think the ending is a funny way to go.
Okay.
So it's not like it's terrible, but I don't know. It kind of charmed me.
All right. Hey, I'm up for the challenge, Dan. I don't know what your motivations are, but I'm up for this.
Dan just straight out hates it and wanted to give it to you.
Really? Okay. That's what I'm taking, because Dan also put in the chat here that he's claiming that Eric Roberts turned down a role in this film because it was beneath even him.
And that's not true.
I do not believe that.
That's not true at all.
I do not believe that, because Eric Roberts is, of course, the star of the Halloween Puppy, aka a Magic Puppy, aka a Great Holiday Magic Puppy Halloween Adventure.
Also, update on that.
Other Eric Rogers news? Eric Roberts news?
No, Halloween Puppy news.
Okay. Good.
So as I mentioned at the top of the show, I like on my little horror break where I was just looking for lighter fare. I also just went back and started watching Night Court again.
Oh, that show's so good.
Yeah. In the first season, there is an episode where Judge Harry is dating a rock star.
Okay.
And I was looking at the rock star's face, and her face was fucking bugging me.
She had one of them fucking frustrating faces.
She had a frustrating face. And so I looked up her credits, and God damn it, she's the mom in the Halloween Puppy.
Eat shit. I love it. Guys, I bet it's still on Tubi. Halloween Puppy.
Sure.
Check it out.
Why wouldn't it be?
Guys, if you play your cards right, guys, I'm not even joking. Tubi has no less than 30 Christmas puppy movies. So if you guys really want to get down on some puppy shit, There's plenty. There's plenty on Tubi.
Tubi's down the puppy.
Tubi is down to motherfucking puppy. Let's get into this here. Should be a relatively short discussion, although a fun one, because we will talk broadly about the franchise here. We are talking about a new series, of which there are currently 2 episodes, 2 installments on Shudder that just released on Friday. We're recording this on Saturday, the 16th of November. It'll come out that Monday. It came out just yesterday. And this is called The Creep Tapes. And this is a pretty fun project. And I'm actually interested to find out kind of how far this progresses and like where it ultimately goes. For those of you who are familiar with the source material, this is based on the 2014 horror, and I would say horror comedy, super low budget, micro budget, kind of indie sweetheart that is like written, directed, produced, and stars the great Mark Duplass. So for those of you who are familiar with Mark Duplass, if you're not familiar with Creep, you're most likely already familiar with Mark Duplass. He's been in a ton of things. I know him originally from The League. Maybe when was that on? 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that was quite a while ago. That show was on. The League, which is about a group of folks. A group of friends playing fantasy football. Really, really funny cast. Paul Scheer, Nick Kroll, Jason Mantzoukas, tons of funny people on that show. And Mark Duplass was one of the kind of leads in that fun ensemble cast. In 2014, he did this movie called Creep, which did it get a theatrical release? I'm not really sure, but it caught on pretty heftily on streaming, and then has become I don't even say a cult classic. Like it's become a well-known movie in horror circles by this point. So much so that only a few years later, he did Creep 2 in 2017. I would say a really great sequel, took it in another fun direction. You could argue it didn't have the magic and the uniqueness of the original Creep movie. But if you like those movies, Creep, the Creep Tapes, which is a series, is really not even a continuation as much as it is almost kind of a world building element of the character that was introduced, Mark Duplass's character that was introduced in the Creep films, which, by the way, his name is Joseph, although he regularly goes by a lot of different names.
Yeah.
As he approaches his victims. But
yeah, even on the IMDb, they've decided to call him Peachfuzz for the Creep Tapes, which is like his his werewolf mask alter ego, whatever,
Yes. So yeah, so there are currently 2 episodes, and how many are they doing? Did you look up how many they're planning on doing in this?
I think it's 6 or 8.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't write it down, but it was the average number, and they're they're 23 minutes or whatever, so they go pretty quick, and they're little standalone kind of vignettes, which is really, really fun. So we should probably talk a little bit about the original movie and kind of this setup, right? So everything is I don't even want to say found footage. It is kind of manufactured footage, almost halfway between found footage and like a mockumentary a little bit, even though it's like a first person mockumentary. So this character played, we'll call him Joseph or Peachfuzz, played by Mark Duplass, is a serial killer, right? And that is not spoiling anything.
No.
he establishes himself very early on, even in the first movie, that he is a serial killer, but he's a very affable guy, if not an awkward guy. Quite awkward. but he is a sociopath to the 11th degree.
Yeah.
So he uses his like social like understanding of like social norms and people's like hesitancy to come across as rude or awkward or to bring up uncomfortable topics like money and just puts people at a disadvantage in an interpersonal capacity to ultimately open them up for him to terrify them, confuse them, and ultimately murder them.
Yeah. He is such an awful villain because it is like being serial killed by an annoying guy. Who is gaslighting you too, like an annoying boyfriend. Yeah, like just an annoying person. Because like even especially like in the 2 episodes we see here, like all of his references and everything is just kind of like the most mundane and average. Like it's not even bad, like that he's into Misery or that he's into American Beauty or anything like that. But it's just like a very boring look at the world. It's like, what if Patrick Bateman was really into Applebee's? It's like, what if Elon Musk was a serial killer and like had subjected you to his annoying hobbies and fixations before he fucking killed you? It's just all of those things. And it's just like, that's what I hate about it, is like being stuck in that situation with a person and then they kill me. Just kill me. Don't subject me to the awfulness that you are.
Yeah. It's like if the worst guy you knew from college, really, who really thought he was like, had eccentric taste and was really interesting.
Yeah.
Also just happened to be a serial killer and was manipulating you in this situation to ultimately murder you. It's rough.
It's coworker personality is what it is. It's coworker personality. Imagine your coworker trapped you and made you fucking like, that's why they're your coworker and not your friend, because they are just really hyper fixated on stuff that you are not that into.
Yeah. He is he's got this infatuation with making these films and putting his experiences with luring his victims, emotionally manipulating his victims, and then ultimately killing them on video. And he is typically creating an environment where the victim is the one making, taking the footage. Mm-hmm. So he's the one on screen more often than not. Right. So it's a pretty interesting setup. And he sets up all of these scenarios, and they differ from the first movie to the second movie. Even victims within the first 2 movies differ. And then this series, again, we're 2 episodes in. We watched the first episode's called Mike. The second episode's called Elliot. And they're based on the victims, the singular victims in each one of the episodes. And he is very much following the general pattern of the first of the movies, wherein he is luring somebody out to some environment where he can take advantage of the situation, can kind of put them through all these unnecessary, annoying paces to get his footage, but also to satisfy this weird sociopathic desire to like emotionally manipulate people and confuse them, and then ultimately, kill them. So he is very much a process killer as opposed to a product killer, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, the first episode we watched is called Mike, and this one is the one that I think is really placed at the beginning of the series. So if you have not watched the first 2 movies, or maybe you've only watched the first movie, it's giving you kind of what you expect, because it really is very reminiscent of the first movie. Yeah,
it's like weirdly a meta remake almost.
Mm-hmm.
that scene towards the end where he's like talking about how like the film is going to be and how it's like, oh, we're just two guys and we're just going to make this film. And like, that's what the original film was like outside of it. Cause it was him, Mark, and his like kind of co-writer and director, Patrick Brice. And so the first film was just Mark and Patrick doing this shit out in the woods, you know, in a cabin by themselves. And just, you know, like carrying out this weird film that it's, you know, goes out this way. And then in this film, he's doing it again, but now he's more explaining it as like, we could just do it this way. And it's like, it feels like, is this just like one of his common traps that he sets up? Like he just does it repeatedly.
I took it as like he's done this so many times that he's just toying with people because this is one of his standard ruses.
Yeah.
And we see that he has a lot of tapes in the intro. So it's been a little while since I watched the first two movies, but I do recall he suggests at some point like how prolific of a serial killer he is. And he has murdered dozens and dozens, if not, you know, 100+ people. Like you assume he is a prolific serial killer.
Yeah.
And so you get the idea that this ruse that he's pulling on Mike in the first episode is one that he's done 100 times and is one of his go-tos because he pays. And this is, again, the first movie. This is really what it's all about is he, you know, somebody shows up to his like secluded, you know, kind of house up in the, he's in Colorado. I forget. He's somewhere up in the mountains. It's a snowy environment. Almost looks like a vacation home for, you know, near a ski resort or something like that. Right. And shows up and there's a sign for Mike that says, please make sure you're rolling before you enter the cabin. And then you get introduced to this like awkward theatrical douchebag of a sociopath. And he's like doing this Dracula routine where he's like got a cape and so he makes himself seem just so non-threatening right off the bat. He's just a goofball, right? It's just unself-aware goofball. And then you slowly realize that he is like a social terrorist. Like he's just constantly gaslighting people, constantly like planting these emotional traps and manipulating his victims. Sometimes so his tactics are so on the nose that you almost question whether or not that's actually what he's doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he's just manipulating his victims. Like that up front with their motivations, but he is. So.
Yeah. And you're just like, well, you're also like, is he just trying desperately to seem eccentric or is he fully insane? And he always creates, not always, but quite often creates this environment where his victim is desperate for something that he kind of has control over. In the first movie and in the first episode here, it's money. So he's hiring somebody assumedly off Craigslist or something like that to come and record him. He's going to pay him $1,000 to record this movie. And we learn that it's essentially a tape to apply for acting school. But also there are a lot of funny bits in here. Like this one, he's like, my name is Jeff Daniels. No, not that Jeff Daniels. Yeah. And he like explains like, but he's just as talented as that Jeff Daniels.
I love,
and then things get more and more bizarre.
Yeah. I love that whole like little monologue he's doing because he goes on, he's like, in 1993, Jeff Daniels played a character named Harry in the movie Speed. And then he would go on to play another Harry. And he's like, and then he goes, I too have that talent. It's like to play two guys named Harry.
Yeah, it's like a weird, unnecessary jab at Jeff Daniels, but like not really. It's just, it's a funny bit. So that's why he says comedy. I mean, the comedy is like, it's not slapstick. It's silliness like that, where the killer is just kind of trying to perhaps make himself laugh. You're not really sure, you know, or he's trying to make himself the butt of the jokes, but he's one step ahead of his victim.
I guess maybe he is trying to make himself laugh, because if he's rewatching the tapes later, then he's like, haha, I got him with the hairy bit.
Yeah, these are all for him. Like we learn that the tapes are really all for him. Or perhaps he has some ultimate plan to reveal these tapes, but as it stands in the universe that we know now of this character, they are just for his personal, watching. But we do get this iconic, like crazy looking, really over the top wolf mask, like werewolf mask that he uses to great effect in the movies. And we get a jump scare with it this time. He puts people in like an emotionally stressful situation and likes to scare them, like jump out and yell boo kind of thing, to really get them feeling vulnerable. So this is a tactic that he uses. So it works kind of into the story in that sense, but also, as an audience, we get this kind of jump scare out of it. And this happens, at least, a couple times in each one of the movies and at least a couple times in each one of the episodes here.
Yeah. It feels, and it's been a little bit since I've watched the movies, but for some reason it felt almost more supernatural the way he's able to hide and do jump scares in the 2 episodes we watched. Like, so the one that we're talking about with the wolf mask is like, he's the cameraman Mike is trying to find his client Mark Duplass after he's had like a fit. He's trying to find Jeff Daniels.
He storms off. Yeah,
he storms off and he locks himself in the bathroom. And then when you go in the bathroom's empty. And then, he's opened the window to make it look like he's escaped through this tiny window. But then as Mike climbs in the bathtub, like he doesn't notice the guy that's standing right next to him in the wolf mask. He doesn't notice that. That just, and it feels like supernatural the way he comes out of nowhere, that he wouldn't have been noticed there.
And in the second episode we'll get to, which is called Elliot, which is not quite as strong in my opinion as the first one, but it's a departure at least, which is fun. It's not just him in his little, in his environment here. It's a bit of a more of a theatrical departure, if you will. The idea of him being this silly, goofy, mentally disorganized wild card to kind of throw off his victims, but then he's actually highly organized and everything he's doing is highly orchestrated and most likely practiced. You know what I mean? Like he's rehearsed these things that seem very impulsive behavior, or you get the feeling that they're actually extremely rehearsed.
Right.
And that's why he's able to hide in these ways that seem like somebody who's that disorganized would never be able to hide. But like he's planned every step of the way, which again, under the surface makes him feel even more sinister.
Yeah. And if this is like a thing that he's run multiple times already, just kind of like it almost becomes a ritual, like the way serial killers have ritual for killing people. Peachfuzz may have this ritual of like, I'm going to open the bathroom window and I'll be hiding here. And then he's going to go and I'm going to jump out and I'm going to get him. And I'm going to get him.
Yeah. I mean, the first episode ultimately wraps up with, I thought, a really great scene of them out in the snow. And he like kind of gets this idea of like, he remotivates his victim with, which is, what's he call him? What's his victim's name in this?
Mike.
I lost it here in my notes. Mike. Yeah. Cause he keeps calling him Mikey. So he remotivates him with a promise of extra money. And also the fact that he's like, obviously planned this around and kept them there longer than expected. The snow's bad. He's kind of scaring him into thinking like he's not going to be able to get down the driveway. He's not going to be able to get home because of the snow. So he's like, kind of, while you're here, like, let's do this, So he's kind of preying on, of course, his how impressionable he is around, wanting to make a movie, but also with the promise of financial gains, because he's giving him money and then he kind of pulls the carrot back, but then he gives it to him. Then he pulls the carrot back. So he's manipulating him in that way. But ultimately this great, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, he even does that emotionally a little bit, because he tells Mike, hey, I saw your short film. And Mike, and like at that point, Mike lights up. He's like, oh, you did? He's like, yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it. And then so he,
that's a great thing. He's like, he didn't set the world on fire.
Yeah. So he pulls the carrot back on that, but then offers him a new carrot of like, but you and I together, we can. So he's like, I saw your film and I liked it. Compliment. Not that great. Oh, yeah. Withholding, but promises of something better. Oh, and $2,000 or whatever. So,
right. Yeah. And then the ultimate scene, he keeps doing this idea of he wants to see like pure, real fear or terror on somebody's face. He's established this early on by really frustrating Mike with this scene that he keeps making him reshoot, and really like, fatiguing him emotionally too. And then he's like, okay, here's how we're going to get it. Here's how we're going to, cut to the core is, I'm going to kind of scare you by making you feel like perhaps I'm actually luring you out here to kill you. And then it ultimately plays as this very meta kind of nod to the crowd about what he's actually going to do to Mike with the setup. But of course, to Mike, it's like, you're flipping back and forth from one layer, one side of the coin to the other. Mike's 2 flips in, and the audience is and the killer are 3 flips in.
Right.
And he's ultimately playing himself in the movie, kind of, what I mean? Like, he is a manufactured character that he is playing. So, and even so much so is he's like, what if I was just dropping hints the whole way, and it's this whole like fourth wall breaking thing in the scope of this little mini movie he's making only for himself. So it's I think that's what you meant when you said it's almost like a, an even more kind of like cut to the point meta remake of the original movie a little bit.
Yeah. Because I feel like there's like a point where like Patrick and Mark were making the film, the original Creep, and they kind of just had that idea of like, let's just do this. And then obviously it doesn't end with Mark Duplass killing his friend. They actually do make a movie. But
yeah.
But yeah, the other.
But how many movies actually did end with that we never saw?
So two or three, I bet.
Couple, 2, 3.
2, 3. I believe the other thing I love about this scene is that because he's putting out this like this almost meta to Mike of like he doesn't know, is he being played with or not? Like it has like a hypnotic nature to it, which like freezes Mike in his tracks, because like he doesn't know.
It feels like he's reading his mind, like, because he's speaking Mike's internal dialogue.
Right. Yeah, he's speaking it at Mike, and so like Mike is just frozen because he's not sure what he's being hit with. Like, is he being hit with a movie? Is he in real danger? He doesn't know. And then just like the way he plays it off with the final thing about it being like a magic trick. And then like he does kind of like a magician's reveal with his hand is like, I thought that was cool. It's like, that's just nice.
Yeah, it was well. And Mark Duplass is really great at flipping the switch from like affable, awkward, not even affable. Affable's the wrong word. It's more like borderline intolerable, like small talk douchebag. Like just that guy who's like, maybe you work with or something that thinks you're closer than you are. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I said he's just like a social terrorist.
Yeah.
Like he just goes from that to like absolutely sinister, like peeling the mask back type of thing really, really effectively. And then he plants it out like, when Mike really knows he's done, or not done, but he's in real danger because he's so many steps ahead of him and then he doesn't fully understand how many steps ahead of him he is, but of course we know as the audience, where he like almost intentionally gives gets a hold of the camera back from him, and we know he's kind of setting up the kill shot, because there's a very, and I'm not even going to spoil it, if you haven't saw Creep, you should, because there's a super memorable kill scene near the end of the movie that is kind of this kind of wide angle third person view of like the camera being set up from a distance and then the kill happening, that you get in both of these episodes. And it does feel like this is going to be his, it's his calling card kind of thing, right? That's how he's going in for the kill, if you will. So, or literally going in for the kill. So he ends up, he's very much toying with him. So like he races, he's like, oh, where is he? He pops up, Mike's gone. And now, of course, the killer has the camera. He's like, where is he? Well, there's some footprints. Knowing full well that this guy is just hiding behind a tree 20 feet away. He's like, did he do the Shining thing where he walked backwards in his footprints? Oh no, there he is. He's hiding behind the tree. Like he's just toying with him, right?
Yeah.
And the guy's like scared. And then the guy makes a run for the car. And of course, he finishes him off with the axe, after putting the camera down and getting that wide angle shot. Great fit. And then it just cuts. That's it. Because once he's dead, because he's all about the process. Once he's dead, you never see him cleaning up the body. You never see all that stuff because he doesn't really care about that stuff.
No.
Right? He cares about the emotional turmoil that he's putting his victims through more than anything.
Yeah, he's interested in showing off for himself is what he's interested in. And then
that's a
and
good
then
way of putting
possibly, maybe once the cops find his tapes,
Mm-hmm.
he has that vision of like satisfaction, like that he's probably watching the tapes, but at the same time he's also fantasizing about the cops who eventually find his stuff watching his tapes and just like being so horrified at him. And he's like, yes, I'm so awesome, I'm so cool.
Well, it comes out more obviously as we've for those who have seen the first two movies, you get to know the character a lot more, and he's got a huge ego. So you're 100% that's in the back of his mind too, is this idea of like, when they find my stash, it is just going to be, you know what I mean? I'm going to be the most famous serial killer in history kind of thing.
Right.
So now that we have the setup, I will take a ton of time here, but let's go through the second episode, which is called Elliot, which is interesting because he's not in his setting. It's not at night, but he does have a couple of things that are his MOs as a serial killer. One, he gets people into a isolated situation where he can interact with them on a one-on-one interpersonal level.
Right.
You're really not going to, it's always just two people in the scenario. In this case, Elliot is a bird watcher, and it's not explicitly said, but it is, I don't think it's explicitly said, but it's very heavily implied that he has lured Elliot out here via some birdwatching forum. But then the interesting thing, which we'll get back to in the end, is the reason Elliot came out here is to view a very specific bird. And you learn pretty early on that somebody on some forum has told him to come out here, and we, being multiple steps ahead of Elliot, we kind of know, okay, the killer probably, posted that out here. But then, spoiler alert, at the end, they do see this very rare bird. Right. So you're like, was that a happy accident? I don't think it was, because he says, like, you have to see this bird before you die.
Right.
And of course, he says that because it's like his quote unquote bucket list of birds he wants to see. It's on that. But this is the like insinuation of all of this background work and all of this planning, all this rehearsal that he does, and everything feels very haphazard in the moment, but it's highly rehearsed, is he actually came and found this bird.
Right, yeah.
Just to set this up for specifically for Elliot.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I love about it. He is such a fucking like psychopath. And so I think this is where the rest of the series is going to go now that, the first episode, Mike, is kind of that meta remake of the first film, but it also gives you just a good foundation of, who Peachfuzz is, the way he behaves. I think the remaining 4 episodes are going to be more like this Elliot episode, putting him.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Putting him in situations that we haven't seen, but expounding upon the lengths he is willing to go to, like, just fuck with people, just be
and to entertain himself.
Asshole. Right. Yeah. He's so bored. He is so bored in his life. And I'm pretty sure it got set up in like the first film, but like he is just a person with money. Like he just he's just like a trust fund kid or something like that, who's just got a bunch of money. He's independently wealthy, and he is an independently wealthy sociopath that just needs things to fill his time. Right.
And this is how he does it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Patrick Bateman, who loves Applebee's, like he's not interested in doing like,
Patrick Bateman, who's seen every episode of Friends like 3 times.
Yeah. Patrick Bateman, who loves Night Court.
No, don't complain. Night Court is a good show. Friends is not a good show.
It is not.
Whenever somebody says they like Friends, I'm just like, I don't think we're going to see eye to eye on that many things in life.
It's like, okay. It's like, I'm glad you have that little hobby.
I love that for you.
Yeah. It's like somebody who says like vanilla ice cream is the best ice cream. It's like, all right. Like it's not. Yeah. It is ice cream. So
it's fine. It's fine. Sure. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. Or like the Da Vinci Code is their favorite book. You're just like, anyway, we sound so snobby right now, but it is exactly how I'm picturing him.
Just because like that's the other thing that like we don't think about. So like when we're presented with like these other serial killers and murderers, like Hannibal Lecter was this psychologist who was also like a really good artist who was like an appreciator of architecture and art and all that other shit. So like that makes him mythic in that way. And then you have like all these other killers who are supernatural and like they don't exist in our world. What we have is Dennis Rader, who is the BTK killer, who volunteered at his fucking church and has had numerous conversations about coleslaw at church picnics before he fucking sexually annihilated a whole family. That's why this Peachfuzz is such an effective work, because he is closer to real killers than anything else, and it's just bothersome that way.
Real killers aren't interesting. Their brains are broken such a specific way that makes them highly, highly dangerous.
Yeah. Like most of like the low IQ home invader type killers. I'm trying to think of the one who was like the guy that like strangled a bunch of people. But then even
who was the guy that Henry Portrait of Serial Killer is based on? Henry Lee Lucas.
Yeah, Henry Lee
Lucas.
Like
he's just a dumbass, just fucking redneck moron paint huffer that just goes and just crimes of opportunity kind of thing.
Him and Otis Toole, they're just dipshits who are just
Otis Toole literally had like a IQ of 50.
Right. They're just idiots who are interested in like pornography and drinking and like just the the most based animalistic things. They're not interested in art.
I was going to say, hold on a second, Steve. Don't sit there and talk shit on drinking and pornography in front of me like this.
I'm not saying they're bad things. I'm just saying don't make it your whole personality.
Normally people like those two kill one person and immediately get caught.
Right.
But they just failed their way into being successful serial killers just by happenstance luck. They just tripped their way forward like Mr. Bean into being prolific serial killers just based on circumstance.
Yeah. Like even the Boston Strangler, who I think was like 3 people or something, like those guys were all fucking dum-dums, but they just happened to get away with it for a period of time because, you know, the police work wasn't as good. That's why we don't have as many serial killers anymore that you know. Like there's still plenty of them out there who operate on a higher level, but like all the dumb ones who they don't get away with stuff anymore. They're just too dumb.
Otis Toole, the internet got Otis Toole. Like there can't be any more Otis Tools because of the internet.
He would have gotten
and cameras and cell phones.
Exactly. He would have got caught on an ATM camera. So
exactly. Yeah. He would have been jerking off in a parking lot somewhere, and you know an ATM camera would have caught him or something.
Exactly.
This guy, he plays on people on their insecurities, like Mike with the filmmaking. You know, play financially. Even in this one, I started to get the idea that he was preying on Elliot romantically too. Like he was coming on to him in a not a hypersexual way, but like in a trying to be charmingly romantic, spontaneous type of way. And Elliot seemed to be like kind of responding to it, which was interesting. I think anyway,
the thing we weren't seeing, or the thing like we don't see is so obviously. He's the one that lured him off the forum to this specific spot.
Yes.
And he is looking for more appreciation for that, but he can't reveal that piece of information because it will set Elliot off.
Yeah.
So like in Peachfuzz's mind, it's a continuous stream of I've done this great thing for Elliot. I've brought him to the place to see his lifeless bird. But I want him to appreciate me for bringing that to him over just the bird itself.
Yeah.
But there's just that one gap of information where he can't reveal to Elliot that he brought him there, that this is all a setup, that he didn't save him from something. So it just becomes very, it becomes just impossible to make that reconciliation to where Elliot will fall in love with him.
Yeah. And he's doing this whole like honesty thing. And you know, I almost wonder whether it has something to do with the fact that like listen, I did a lot of work to find this freaking bird for you. Like I could have just lied and said this bird is out here, but it's not. But it actually is. So I was telling you the truth. And in doing so there's this great scene where he's like, hey, do you, what do you do when you find the birds? And he's like, well, I like to videotape them. And apparently that's frowned upon in the bird watching community. And he explains that like most people are like, you should just be with binoculars and you're there with the bird. But I really like to videotape them. That's like, that for whatever reason, I like to do that. So you see that Peachfuzz is almost like a little bit falling in love with Elliot, or at least at the very least seeing a little bit of himself in Elliot, because that's what it's what he's doing with Elliot, right? He's recording this whole thing, and that's what he does with all of his victims. But he's also like kind of hints at the fact that like, hey, do you bait the birds? You bring them in with some bait? He's like, no, that would be a step too far. That would be unethical. But he knows that he is baiting them, and he finds the bird food, which is funny because it's in a plastic Ziploc bag that's just seeds, and it just says bird written on it.
Yeah. as compared to like what else? Like, is he baiting other animals that he
squirrels or something?
Yeah.
But so he is playing on Elliot's guilt of doing quote unquote unethical bird watching. But at the same time, you do get the idea that the killer is a little bit insulted also that Elliot is lying to him. And he does this whole bit where he's like kind of steal his car and leave him out in the middle of nowhere. So again, he's making him feel very, very vulnerable. My favorite part, which I skipped over, and this you have to assume is 100% just for his own sake, is he's playing this character and the character is a skydiver that is a first-time skydiver that is that had like some mishap and ended up getting like shot way up in the air by the plane and then like taken 100 miles away from his landing zone. Which is such a funny character to be playing in a serial killing scenario. So right. I'm really eager to learn what his, I'm almost imagining like, is the next one he's going to be like a paper boy, you know what I mean? Just some cartoonish thing.
Yeah. That's what got me really excited about like this second episode is like, oh, okay. So the next ones are just going to be ludicrous setups. Like it's not fully cartoonish, but it is just like what, like he's gone to
one step from
lengths.
Cartoonish.
Yeah, he's gone to great lengths to do some goofy ass stuff to trick people.
Yeah, like he's going to be. Is it going to get to Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, like level of like you just walk up and he's just dressed like a sexy lady or something.
Yeah,
or like a train conductor or something.
Oh God, I hope for the train conductor. That's fun.
Yeah, that would be so fun. I just got an idea of one where he's a Costco sample person, but that might not work with the whole isolation. Anyway, I'm very excited about this. But ultimately, he does this. The way that he dispatches Elliot is certainly less brutal, but it's more. It's not that it's not brutal. It's just that it happens. I didn't love the ending because it happens in a somewhat unrealistic way, but I get it. Right? He does this thing where, again, because he's a douchebag, and because he's like. Basically, he has like very predictable, like this guy watches Fight Club and American Psycho and like roots for the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like he thinks they're cool. Like,
right.
He might have a what's his name? Bateman. What's his first name in the freaking? I would say it's Jason Bateman, but that's the actor. Patrick Bateman. Excuse me. He might have a Patrick Bateman tattoo. You know what I mean? He's that kind of douchebag.
Right. At least the poster.
He has. Yeah, he definitely has a poster. That's for sure. He has a lot of Scarface posters too. But he has this this scene where he's trying to recreate the swirling plastic bag scene from American Beauty. And it's just not working, right?
No.
And then he ultimately suffocates him with that plastic bag. Yeah. Which is like, fine, that's fine. But it happens, for any of us who have watched any type of true crime, or follow anything like that, that strangling somebody takes a long time, but suffocating somebody is harder than it sounds to, I think.
Right.
So for him to just put a plastic bag over a grown man's head, which they picked a guy who's like considerably larger than him too.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not a small guy. He should have
like
been able
over
to fight
6 foot tall. Yeah. Like that. But he like quickly suffocates him with a plastic bag. If there's one thing, I'm being a little nitpicky, in these movies or in these episodes and even in the movies too, there's not a lot of violence. It really is the build up to, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? And then it makes the violence ultimately more shocking, which is great.
Right. Yeah.
But we don't get that shock in this one because the murder is like is a little ho hum in my opinion.
Yeah. And it was so telegraphed because it starts at the beginning of the episode when, he first introduces himself as like this, skydiver who has been oxygen deprived and is now hyperventilating. And so he,
oh yeah,
that's also a pretty good jump scare where he's just screaming. Like he's half weird screaming,
just creating confusion, there to create chaos and confusion. Yeah.
Right. And then like he finds a way to reverse the ingratiation of like, he's ingratiating himself to Elliot as a victim, as like somebody, rather than somebody who just has money. Although at one point he does offer Elliot like $1,000 to not drive away to do something else, but
at least he says that it's like, hey, I'm about to sue these people, and I'm gonna have money, kind of thing,
Yeah, but he hyperventilates into a plastic bag that Elliot has on him, but then as soon as he's done hyperventilating, he stuffs it into his shirt. So you're just kind of like, oh, okay, that's going to come back. And then
that worked great on me though, because I saw him do that, and it was like there's a little foreshadowing, but I forgot about it until he pulled it out doing the whole American Beauty thing, and then I was like, the bag.
Oh yeah, that's right. he does bring up American Beauty at one point when they're in the car together though, like even before trying to do the bag dance. Because like they're driving down the road and, he's trying to tell Elliot about American Beauty, which, just very coworker brain type thing. Like, I want to tell you about this movie from 1999. It's like,
right.
Hold on. But then, Elliot tells him to shut up, and pull over because Elliot thinks he sees his bird. And so like that, that's a way that like sets off Peachfuzz. Like, don't tell him to shut up when he's in the middle of trying to tell you about the greatest film he's ever seen last week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see the setup, the setup and what his his character is in these, because there is at least one or two like laugh out loud funny moments in these. Obviously it's very black humor because you ultimately know what the end game is going to be, but I am hoping that, and if I had to guess, there's going to be at least one victim that gives him a run for his money, and extends things a little bit more. And so this was, when I first saw that this was going to be, it was a series instead of just another movie, another sequel, I was a little skeptical. But then when I saw what they were doing with it, I was like, no, this is fucking brilliant. This is going to be great.
Yeah. I like it as a series now because I feel like if they tried to make an hour and a half long version of episode 2, it really wouldn't work. But
this is perfect at 25 minutes.
Yeah. Now that we understand this character, it's more about, like you said, it's more about like the way he just sets people up and terrorizes them. We know what the ending is going to be. We know that he wins because he just usually wins. It's not, it doesn't have the same value to like make a whole nother movie about it. But these 30-minute digestible kind of, tracks of his life where we see him going to greater lengths and being completely, weird in different ways. Like, okay, that's great. And so, I definitely want to see the rest of this for sure. Into it.
I am looking right now. I'm trying to temper my expectations because, Mark Duplass is in a short that is just come out, or maybe it hasn't even come out, but it's 2024, called "Oh Christmas Tree." And it doesn't read horror for me.
No.
So maybe it's not. Dang it! I was hopeful that it was something. It was horror.
No, most of what he does is not horror. That's the other thing that like made Creep a standout, is because Mark Duplass was known for doing these indie mumblecore films, and for him to step into the horror world was interesting because it did give a little bit of a unique perspective when he did it, and it was done for such a small budget. That's one of the things I liked about the first episode, is that there's a little meta joke in there where they're doing the misery scene. The videographer, Mike, is like, "Oh, I didn't want to step on your lines." And Mark Duplass says, "No, don't worry about that." And it's just like, that's just a little meta joke, because like that's what his movies are known for. They're known for people just talking over each other and being, conscious of their confusion and chaos.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was funny.
I part of me wants to say like, hey, give this guy. I mean, obviously, Creep came out in 2014 or whatever. Like, this was, we're a decade in here. So I'm sure if he wanted to do something, bigger budget, he would have went and done it. But part of me is like, hey, give this guy some money and go make something, another crazy feature. But he's obviously got a lot of other projects kind of under his belt. But
yeah, I think he's just a guy that's actually really happy just making small budget stuff that he has like full control over. Because like these shorts are all just, again, him and Patrick Brice doing it, and then the actors who have been in these first 2 episodes at least, they're also just small indie filmmakers.
Yeah,
like it's just like a way for, it may even be just like a subversive way for him to astroturf these filmmakers to be like, oh, who was Elliot in this episode? And then you go look up Elliot, and Elliot has a list of 4 or 5 short films that he's directed. And Mike has a list of 4 or 5 short films that he's directed. And they're both acted in small films as well. So like, I don't know, maybe he's just like trying to bolster small filmmakers, I guess, which that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Love it. Excited to watch the rest of these episodes. And a lot of fucking cool stuff on Shudder right now. All right. Anything else before we wrap this bitch up?
I don't know. I want to watch Mads on Shudder. That looks interesting, but I haven't got to it yet.
It's fun.
Okay.
I watched it.
Okay.
I won't even say anything.
Sure.
I won't even say anything. It's fun. Worth a watch for sure.
There's another film out there that I want to watch. It's called Rippy.
Rippy. Where's that at?
I don't know. I just know it exists. I don't know where it exists at though, but it's a killer kangaroo. Killer kangaroo.
Right. Kangaroo. The answer you were looking for is kangaroo.
Rippy. Yeah. So it's
all right. We'll look it up.
It looks like you can rent it for like $8 on most of the streaming services. I don't know if it's for free anywhere though. Yeah. It's just a rental for now, but yeah, it looks like some hot garbage, like in the vein. You ever see the movie Black Sheep from New Zealand? Yeah. It looks like it's in that vein, but with kangaroo. So
okay. So a little jokey.
Yeah. How could you not be? It's a fucking kangaroo.
I'm excited. Kangaroos. Yeah, they look like weird little jacked humans with long tails. They bounce on their tails. It's silly animal. Heard a funny, not funny, interesting, which I didn't realize, fact. Somebody, I saw this online, one of those like dumb little trivia, Instagram reels or whatever. It was like, how many kangaroos are currently living in the wild globally?
It's millions, isn't it?
It's like 600 million. Apparently,
God.
Kangaroos are like white-tailed deer here.
Oh yeah.
Except for all over the entire country/continent of Australia. They're just like a burden, and like people are constantly hitting them with their cars. And I just thought that's terrifying because they're weird. Like you see these like there's no jack deer. Like we all have hit deers. Yeah. There's 10 deer go through my yard a week. Like I see them all the time. I live in a rural environment. White-tailed deer are a pest here. Like we shoot them, hunt them for food and sport and everything here. Yeah. But also if we didn't, they would kill people literally because they run across the road every 5 seconds. But imagine if those white-tailed deer were weird little jacked creatures with a long tail. Like, that's even more scary.
What if it was a 7-foot dude that had a long tail? Is what those are. Like, that's the
and
thing.
like big pecs. Like,
Yeah.
you see these jacked and you're like, what is going on?
That they'll stand up against you. They're like, ooh, bro.
And they have like claws. They'll like
Yeah.
fucking rip you apart.
Did you ever see? We're just on kangaroo talk now, but did you ever see the one video of like it's 2 kangaroos fighting in this dude's backyard, and then they just fall through a metal fence fighting each other? Like somebody, just my favorite edit of that is somebody put the Cain and Mankind Hell in a Cell fucking audio over that, just because.
My God, he's broken in half.
Just the 2 kangaroos falling through this metal structure. It's just very funny.
Yeah, deer don't murder people's dogs or things like that,
Right.
like kangaroos do. So here's what I say: fuck a kangaroo.
Yeah, deer will fucking fuck up your backyard garden, but yeah, kangaroos will fight you. Kangaroos fight each other. Kangaroos will fight your car. Pieces of shit.
We are fervently anti-kangaroo here
Hell yeah.
on the Halloween is Forever podcast. All right. Speaking of the Halloween is Forever podcast, for the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kangaroo Jack.
Fuck a kangaroo.
Fuck a kangaroo.
Fuck them. Anti-kangaroo stance from here on out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. We missed an opportunity to do an accent.
I know. Why would we ever?